Oh my God, that's deep.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, sorry to kind of kick it off. Hi there.
Hi. So, hi, I'm Jonathan Bloomberg, writing for Movie Scene in Sweden.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hi.
Hi. So I finished, like 2 days ago, I finished the entire second season. So now I'm waiting for the third, which better happen. And watching this show, it kind of hit me that your memories are so important for who you are, basically. Like if you're missing key memories or experiences, you would be someone completely different. So being on this show, I'm thinking that maybe you guys have thought about this as well. And is there any key memory or experience that you think that if you woke up tomorrow and you didn't have that you would be completely different?
Wow.
Oh my God, that's deep.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, sorry to kind of kick it off, but like, what's really interesting is that for season one, Veronica West, our showrunner, she talked to me about, there's a documentary called Tell Me Who I Am.
Oh God, yeah, that's dark.
Which is really dark. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's
It's two twins, right?
about the twins, exactly.
Yeah.
And that given the choice, would you want to know about what actually happened to you, and or are you better off kind of not? And it's such an interesting question to kind of ask yourself of, would I want a clean slate or not? And I would always say that I would want to know all of it, but that comes at such a cost. And I think that it's what's so interesting with someone like Sophie, that, you know, in season one, you know, she realizes that actually she's not as innocent as she once thought, and not as much of a victim of her circumstance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's quite an interesting
And once you
thing.
start digging, you
can't
can't really then just say, oh, I don't want, I want to just only know the good bits about myself, and I think, by the time we've come to season 2 now, like, Sophie really doesn't have anything left to lose. She's all in. She's moved countries. She's completely, isolated and somewhat undercover. So yeah, I feel like, you've got to kind of commit. She's got to commit, and but it's a tough question, because I think sometimes, ignorance is bliss, right? Like, in terms of your family and what you don't know, and there's some really deep dark secrets in the Huntley family. So yeah.
For sure, yeah. And also, Gugu, I know this is the first project that you're actually involved with the producing part of the making of the show as well. So have that kind of broaden your horizons on what you would like to do on maybe future projects as well? Is there any specific part of that you like the most?
Absolutely. It's been a huge learning curve for me, being EP on this. I think, as an actor, you come in when the show's ready to go, the script's written, the locations are all set, and you just show up and you do your thing. And I think as a producer, you're very much part of shaping the whole project as a whole, the DNA, the tone of the piece, from who's going to direct it, who's going to write the music. I think I've learned a lot from watching our composer, Oliver Arnolds, who is an incredible Icelandic composer and artist. And that's an area that I didn't really understand, how you score a show, how you write for the scenes. That's really an interesting side of it for me. And the edit, and what you can really change or tweak the pace of something. We do what we do on the day, but then the editor can completely, make that scene really tense or really intimate, depending on the shots that you choose and the rhythm of it all. So no, it's been a massive learning curve, and I am, continuing producing with other things that I've got in development at a very early stage. But it's a big commitment. It takes a lot of time, So I'm continuing to learn about it.
I'm really glad to hear that. And for you, Millie, joining these two veterans on this particular series, how was that for you?
Amazing. I mean, I was lucky enough to I had a glimmer of my character in season 1, but I was actually out filming with them for 5 months, which was at times
Hell.
Tedious.
Hell. It was hell.
when I was like being out in a country where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not working, and also it was lockdown, so I was like, I can't even go out for a poodle. But then now to be working with both of these guys whose work I have admired for a long time, and then also to have a whole new crew of people coming in who just bring in this new, like, fast-paced energy where suddenly it goes from being quite a claustrophobic story, which was so important in setting up the show. I think, like, season 1 really delves into Sophie's internal world, and then for season 2, it's like the doors are blown open onto this chaotic landscape that Sophie's like navigating. Actually, that all of the characters are navigating their way through, and so it was so amazing to see the shift in the seasons. They're really different to one another, but I love both of them. And to see the evolution, I've loved being able to be along on the ride for both, and with these guys who I really like.
That sounds perfect. And your character this season is kind of on the side as the journalist, kind of trying to look in on the events that take place around the central character that Gugu plays. So when you kind of received the scripts for this show, how many did you receive? Did you know everything that you were going to do, or how was that for you?
Yeah, I think thankfully, and it's true, because it's not always the case. You mightn't, it mightn't be finished and stuff. But we had gotten the majority of the story, and I think I spoke to Veronica, the creator of the show, before we started filming, so I had a good sense of where Callum's journey was going, and I think that really helped, because obviously it's such a almost technical role, in the sense that there's so much information, and it's like uncovering a really complex mystery. You have all of these pieces of information, and you film things out of order at times, so it's kind of, when do I know certain things and when do I not? So it made the job so much easier to have a sort of a through line of and a destination of where Callum was going.
Yeah, and those scenes together with Gugu, how were those two shoots? Since she has to do a lot on this show, and I thought you were a great partner to her this season.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Yeah, we do. We have a lot to do together, don't we? And it was great to sit down with her before filming and sort of sit down and again trying to kind of put this puzzle together ourselves and figure out when we can trust each other, maybe when we can't, and I describe it as a little bit of a dance the two of us, the two characters, have throughout the show, and it constantly shifts and changes, and you never really know where you are with it, which is a really exciting, nuanced kind of part to play.
Yeah, and one could almost say that you are kind of her sidekick on this show, but you've practiced having Keanu Reeves as your sidekick in
Yes.
in the games industry. So having done that, I know that's voice acting, but carrying something really big like that, how has that helped you kind of embracing other jobs after being such a integral part of that game?
Yeah, I mean, it was probably the biggest job I ever did, in the terms of like the length of time as well I spent working on it. So I mean, I think what was great about the script on that, I never thought about it as a voiceover gig. It was an acting gig, and and so it's always helped me, because again, not dissimilar to this, there's such a complexity in the script and all of these different ways in which the story can go. And so that maybe helped me in this as well. Like there were so many possibilities of where this story could lead Callum, and you kind of keep your mind open to all of that.
Yeah. Do you ever meet any like fans or even other actors that start by saying that, "Oh, I played you"?
Yeah, I do sometimes. Yeah. Or they might know, and then they happen to start talking about the game, and I just kind of wait for a while, and I go, "Well, actually, Fun fact, I'm actually, I have to ask them first. I was like, which V did you play as? But if they say male V, I'm like, well, okay, here I go. But yeah, it's
both seasons really have made me think about like how important memories are for who you actually think that you are. They're like all the experiences and memories, like the key ones, kind of define you. And I'm thinking, having worked on this show, is that something that you've been thinking about as well? And if so, is there any special like key memories that you think would change you completely if you woke up tomorrow and not having them anymore?
Wow, that's a big question.
Yeah.
I'm certainly interested in how the notion of confabulation, where you have something you like a story in your mind and a sort of a memory, and how they can sort of lap over and they become your memory maybe, and that sort of tells you who you are. The story that we tell ourselves of our own life is always the sort of hero story. But if you were to have real, genuine, I mean, maybe it's a good thing because, you know, half of my memories are probably just me embarrassing myself. So it's probably good just to sort of kick those to the back. But yeah, I mean, I guess but I wouldn't want to get rid of any of them, I don't think.
No.
I think that just sort of makes part of who you are, I suppose.
Absolutely. And I kind of feel for the ones that have passed on and who are not in this world. All I have, to kind of hold on to is memory. So I wouldn't want to lose any of it. And I think, as you are saying, it's so important to have something that you can just, it's like, whether it's a happy place or a not so happy place, I'm just so glad for all of it. It's made me who I am today.
Yeah. And Freida, your character on this season, I would say is the only real, truly nice person on the show.
Aww,
well,
thank you.
Basically, I feel like that might change in future seasons. I don't know, but what do you think about the character that you're playing, who are also kind of thrown into this environment as the character of Gugu is as well?
Right. I kind of I want to refrain from judging people in this show because, you know, a lot of things that people do is because either society has told them that that's what they have to do, or the family has told them that that's what they have to do. And when you keep digging and you keep saying, oh, this person is so flawed, and then you go, oh, that was what they were exposed to. And I'm not making excuses because everyone's an adult in the show, and, you know, go chart out your own future. But at the same time, there is an understanding of why everybody is where they are. And as far as Grace is concerned, I do see her as, like, yes, definitely more grounded in terms of her character in comparison to everybody else. But I do see that there are moments of those low moments as well in her own life. So I don't feel like she's like, you know, just absolutely pure and this angel. I definitely feel like she's doing her so-called bad things for her good reasons.
Yeah. And Phil, we only have like less than a minute left here now.
It's going to be a great minute. It's going to be great.
Yeah. I just wanted to take that time to say that I really loved what you did on Ted Lasso, and I'm really hoping that we get a spin-off or something for that so we can meet that character again as well.
Thank you, mate. That's very kind. Appreciate that. I love Ted Lasso as well.
Like working with Gugu on this show, because you really need a lead that can sell, like not having her memories and doing a lot of internal like things, just showing emotions with her eyes and face. So how did you finally land on doing this with Gugu?
Well, I mean, we worked with her on the morning show, the first season of the morning show. She played a character named Hannah who was truly unforgettable. And Reese and I just loved working with her we were so happy with her on set, and then when we saw her on screen, she just took our breath away, and we knew that we needed to find a show that would be a great vehicle for her. So when we read Veronica's pilot spec script, we knew this was exactly the thing to bring to Gugu. So we brought it to her. She read it very quickly, instantly said she was in, and she has really been our true partner since that moment. So she's not just the star of the show, she's really our partner behind the scenes, and she has been in it with us since the very beginning, trying to flesh out this character and understand all of the complications and complexities. And I think she's just been an integral part of us figuring out Sophie and her journey. And I think the first season was so much about sort of figuring out this mystery of what happened with Sophie. And then this season, she's on a quest for answers. And I think she's very active in a whole new way. And I think it's really just incredibly compelling to watch.
Yeah, it's a very challenging role, and I think it's helpful to us that Gugu has been involved in the series since the inception. She knows the story as well as I do, you know, and when we get there on the day, she's able to execute it in ways that, you know, only somebody who'd been your collaborator like that could.
You knew that you wanted to do this show, but Hello Sunshine have done so many different shows that have been huge successes now. So what are the kind of key elements that you look for when you're trying to find these new stories out there?
Well, that's very nice. Thank you. Everything we do at Hello Sunshine centers on strong female characters. So what we're looking for is a project that puts a woman at the center of the story and in an unconventional and unexpected way showcases her as the hero of her own story. So I think this show really exemplified that. And I think Sophie is a really complex, original heroine, and I love to watch her. It's just a privilege to get to work on this show, both behind the scenes and, you know, when you actually get to watch the finished product. I love this season so much because I think it really does keep you on the edge of your seat from start to finish.
And if we would get that third season eventually, is there any parts of the story that you haven't been able to tell in these first two seasons that you would really be interested in exploring in a potential future season?
Yeah, well, season one was really about who Sophie was. She woke up in this kind of seemingly perfect life and found out it was anything but. And season two is about why, where she came from, the dysfunctional world that she's a part of. And we actually drew on Girl with the Dragon Tattoo a lot in evoking kind of the darkness and that murder mystery feeling and all those little details in the photos and the articles as Sophie's the detective really in this season, uncovering her own past. And as season three, I mean, season two ends with a huge cliffhanger. For me, there's these chapters of Sophie's life. There's San Francisco, there's her childhood that we discover in season two, and then there's a whole other missing chapter of what she was up to in her 20s. And I think from the end of season two, you can tell it was nothing good. So hopefully in a potential season three, we'd get to launch into that story as well.
Fingers crossed for that. Thanks a lot for taking the time to speak with me today, and best of luck with the premiere of the second season.
Thank you.
So much.
Great to meet you.